And so, family, I just invite you to take a moment to find your breath, allowing yourself to become fully present in this moment. As we touch and agree and remember to remember that God is all that there is, all that there ever has been, all that there ever will be, all that there is right now is the perfection of the infinite. We are born in, through, and as this perfection. All that we are is born of this beauty, of this love, of this intelligence that moves through us, that moves through everything. The same force that kept us while we slept and woke us this morning holds the planets in their orbits, brings the ocean to the shore. We are one with the infinite power of the entire universe. It is without exception, and it is regardless of the appearance of things. The infinite is always unfolding perfectly, magnificently, and in our favor. And so it is from this place of trusting, this place of deep, abiding faith, that I, Sonia, speak my word on behalf of my beloved Heart and Soul Center of Light community, knowing, trusting, accepting the perfection of the infinite as it unfolds in each and every one of our lives. As we remember to remember who we are and why we are here. That we know that love is the answer to every question, and that peace and joy and kindness prevails. I know, and I know that I know, in a time where there is concern, in a time where there is global pandemic, there is also the opportunity for transformation. There is the opportunity for love. There is the opportunity for an expanded heart and an expanded knowing of what is possible. There is the opportunity to know the truth of who we are. I am giving thanks for this time. I am giving thanks for this knowing, for this trusting. I'm giving thanks for us allowing the space to our lives to be transformed, allowing the space for the divine evolution of our planet. I am grateful for Heart and Soul Center of Light and all that it endeavors to be on the planet, the permission, the space, the consciousness it gives us to know this truth, to accept it, and to cultivate it and spread it around. I know, I trust, and I believe that the goodness of God that is present in this moment and always is available to each and every one of us. And I am grateful. I am grateful for Heart and Soul. I am grateful for every heart and every hand that supports this ministry. I am grateful for our beloved musical inspiration. I am grateful for Reverend Andriette and her constant yes, for her vulnerability, for her compassion, and for the permission that she gives the rest of us to be our unapologetically best selves. I am grateful, family, for the opportunity to speak this word and for the good sense to be grateful this day. And so I simply release this word into the law, trusting that it's done and done well in God, allowing it to be so now and forever. And so it is.
You know life has its ups and downs, can turn your pretty face Seems like when I face one thing, another one comes, clouding up my vision. But I can feel the sun. I believe that I can do this. I know that I can win, just as long as I have His love within. I believe that I can make it. I can make it through the night. I believe that I can walk on with my head held high. I believe that I can do this. I know that I can win, just as long as I have the victory. I gotta believe. Oh, I have to see myself at the finish line. I have to visualize that everything will turn out fine. I have to trust in my Father and open up my heart. I know that I can do this. I know that I can win. I know, just as long as I got love, I can win. I believe I can do this. I can make it through the night. I can believe that I can walk on with my head held high. I believe that I'm special in every way, just as long as I have a victory. I gotta believe. Oh, heartbreak and heartache, been let down when no one's around. I believe I can. I receive I can. And now I'm walking into victory. I can win. I believe that I can walk on if I keep on going. I believe that I can make it. I can make it through the night. I believe that I can walk in night. Have the victory. Yeah, yeah. I believe I'll have the victory.
Gotta believe. That's Miko Marks and Tammy Hall. Thank you so very, very much. I gotta believe. That's Yolanda Adams' work. And I have to share some of it's one of my favorite songs. And so I want to make certain that you heard. You might have been distracted by Tammy's playing and Miko's beautiful voice, but I want to make sure you heard these lyrics because we're going to walk by these today. We're going to walk in this today. So part of the lyric that I want to highlight is, life has its ups and downs, the corona, right? So even before, now, in the COVID pandemic, and after, life will have its ups and downs. It's life. It's how it works. And in that, this experience for us that Yolanda Adams has in the lyric is, it seems that when I face one thing, another comes along. This would be a time for y'all to give testimony, if I say so myself. I know y'all are in different places, in different time zones, and I am grateful that you're here, and thank you so very much for being with us. Here's what I know for sure is that you know that part, that as soon as we face one thing, another comes along. Sometimes the response to that is to act as if I must have done something wrong because I already faced something that was difficult, that was awful. I've come today to set the record straight. That's how life is. That's how we grow. Children, in learning to walk, fall down. It's part of the process. And so in our living, we'll face a thing and then we'll be like, whoo, got through that. And then, oh, Lord, here's another thing. And you do the same thing that you learned before. This is an opportunity for you to now apply what you learned before, which is evidence that you learned it or maybe you didn't, depending upon how you work it out, depending upon what you're doing in this. Yolanda Adams offers us this clarity, though. I believe that I can make it, that I can make it through the night. And my sense is that we're not talking about when the sun has set night. We're talking about the dark night of the soul, that time in which we begin to doubt that we can make it. This is why that line is so important. I believe that I can make it, because it is literally done unto us as we believe. So believing I can make it has everything to do with my ability and my experience, my capacity to literally make it. It's that idea. But in order to have my victory, I got to believe. And at the risk of taking y'all through all the lyrics, which I'm not going to do, but I'd be remiss if I didn't do my favorite part. I have to see myself at the finish line. That part right there. See, our job is to not just go the distance, but we have to use our imaginations in the way that they were intended. We must see ourselves where we want to be. We have to begin from where we are in the difficulty, in the pain, in the suffering, in the guilt, in the shame. But what'd she say? I have to see myself at the finish line. I have to visualize that everything, is going to fall in line. Because there is amazing grace and there is divine order in the universe. Oh, see, this is Dr. Will in me. See, I just said something. Those of you who know Dr. Will Coleman know that very often as he is speaking, he'll say, oh, my God, I just said something. So I just have to say, I just said something. This putting together in our awareness, because it's already there, amazing grace and divine order, when we're living from that awareness, seeing ourselves at the finish line, knowing, visualizing that everything is falling in line. That's your job. That's your job. I've come today to string these pearls, to bake this baklava, to put this together, in a way that on the other side of it, we have absolute clarity that we can not just make it through this, but that we can thrive, that we can absolutely thrive. The slide that you saw just before you heard Miko and Tammy said that there's no need to fear anything in this life. If, and I underlined the if because I didn't want y'all to miss it, if we believe that called on or not, God is always present. There's a part of me, I'm often tempted to just drop the mic at some point during the talk and walk off and just leave y'all with the slide up there. Because there's something for the one who says, what if I just take that on? If I come into an awareness that there is absolutely nothing for me to fear in life. Why? Because I absolutely believe that God is always present. And that's whether I'm praying aloud, whether I'm beseeching, whether I've called it out. See, it has nothing to do with God. Your calling and carrying on has nothing to do with God. God simply is and is available. This is the divine order in the universe, and it's also the amazing grace, unmerited favor. It's this notion that right where I am, the whole perfect and complete nature of the divine is, and is having its full sway for the one who gets that, that one will take the next step. Come on, Mother Harriet, help a sister out. Help me to illuminate this presence that is already there. Ernest Holmes, and I'm going to ask them that they would put up the slide for you, says, no greater good can come to you than to know that the power already within you is the power to live. See, if you know that, you're good to go. That the power, this is the power to create. Not only to create for yourself. This is our Corona lesson. That it's not just about creating for ourselves, it is for everyone. The power to do good, the power to heal. That's what this is. No greater good can come to you than that awareness. Because when you're in that awareness, what? You can see yourself at the finish line. Can you see how it all connects? When you realize that right where you are, the power that you're seeking is. Why? Because God is, whether you called God into being or not. It already is. It's that moment of surrender, and I'm going to talk about that. Oh, there's so much. Okay, here we go. If you hang out with Heart and Soul at all, you know, because we're already almost the end of the 5th month. So in January, we began in earnest reading together our daily devotional, Marianne Williamson's A Year of Miracles. Why? Because we were declaring miracle. This is our adventure in faith, and we are expecting a miracle. Why? Because we understand the order in the universe. We understand how miracles unfold out of our belief, out of our standing in, our knowing that we are unwilling to sway from an awareness that God is and truly all is well. I understand that we are having a variety of experiences, but in the midst of that experience is grace. In the midst of that experience is divine and perfect order. I'm not saying you can see it in this very moment. I'm saying you got to trust, because faith has to do, to me, this combination of belief and trust. That's what faith is. I guess I'm on Formula Girl today, because it's this little combination of believing and trusting simultaneously is what I believe constitutes what we call faith. And so that's what's required. See, you don't need no faith if ain't nothing happening. If you just, skip to Malou, what you need faith for? It's when we feel challenged, when we begin to doubt, is when we must believe and trust, and thus approach this situation, circumstance, opportunity in faith. So Marianne Williamson offers in A Year of Miracles for day 145, it's a reflection on shedding light. She says that there's a way of being in the world that transcends the world. I need you to hear this. That there's a way of being in the world and not of it. There's a way of being in the world that transcends the world. A way of being a regular person, but a miracle worker at the same time. Come on, Yeshua, show us, remind us that being in this human condition and yet being available to the perfect divinity that empowers us to heal and to be the revelation, thus reveal the presence of the divine. Oh, she's working on something right here when she says we become the lamps that shed the light. That too often, many of us were trained to hide our lamps under a basket, to hide who we are, to not let people know that we see the divinity in ourselves, that we are living in a world right now that is the sum of that decision and that behavior. we're living in the consequence of not owning our divinity. Not owning that even as humans, that we are that we're spirit having a human experience. That's what's really happening here. I love the way she says it about being regular people and miracle workers simultaneously at the same time. Having all of that happen. I'm going to cut to the chase here, though, because I want us to get to that bottom line where she says, we are here because we have a mission. That's what your life has meaning. Your life has meaning. There's a calling on your life. That's true for all of us. If we're here and drawing breath, means we are breathing the breath of God, and there's order in that. That's not a wasted breath ever. So if you're breathing right now, you are breathing the breath of God, and the breath of God is breathing you. And it's for the express purpose that you will fulfill your life mission. She says we are here because we have a mission, to be the love that is missing in a loveless world. It's the corona opportunity for us. And thus reclaim this darkened world for light. It's a moment when we look into the world, into our situation, circumstance, and for the one who only sees the darkness, only sees what's wrong, only sees the failure, only sees the inability to, only sees their own weakness, only sees, I could go on, but you already get it. For that one is reminded what? To reclaim this darkened world for light. That within this darkness, within this situation, this circumstance, is your light, is your love. There's joy in. Ask the elders. Ask the elders. Sometimes some of y'all just too young to know. So I know you're wise in your own way. But there's something about watching and being aware over a period of time that you're like, okay, I've been here before. I know how this works. I have a sense of how life gets to be the way it is. And I realize that for all of those times when I thought I was abandoned, where is God in this? I turned the corner and saw God. God hadn't moved. I had to move in order to have a different experience of what was present. Our work often is to cease the doubt and the fear and to do it anyway. Is that okay for me to just say that out loud? To just do it anyhow. I know you're afraid. Do it anyway. I know you're concerned and nervous and anxious. Do it anyway. There is a divine calling on your life, and there's a divine guidance within that. Matthew 9, verses 27 through 30. I want you to just consider what if. This is where we in Matthew, we find the master teacher, Yeshua, that the world ultimately came to call Jesus. We find him working miracles. We find him interacting with people. And I'm just going to ask us to consider. I know this is a familiar scripture. Today, I'm not going to turn it on its head, but I'm going to angle it in another direction. I'm going to ask you to be willing to see something different in this. I'm going to take a moment and highlight maybe some of the symbolism. I'm wanting us to begin with this notion of it says that when he passed from, he's just healed a woman with the issue of blood, and it says now when he passed from there, 2 blind men followed him and cried out saying, now when I read this in my preparation for this, it occurred to me, you know, it's going to sound like irreverence. I don't mean it to, but the blind men following him, really? So maybe they're not blind in the way that we want them to be. I think sometimes we read scripture and we're grateful it's not our story because it gets us off the hook. So if we talk about the two blind men, one, I'm not a man, two, I'm not blind. But if you look more deeply, yeah, I am. Blind in an amazing grace kind of way. I once was blind, but now I see. See, there's nothing. We're not confused when we sing Amazing Grace. We're not at all confused that when we sing it, we were supposed to be. It's irrelevant to us if we've never been blind. We know in that moment we've all been blind. And we also recognize that there's a moment in which we see. So I'm going to set that as the context for this scripture today. I know we don't always go there, but today I'm just going to ask you to go with me because I'm here and you here, and we may as well do this. So here we have it. So not only are the blind men following him, but what I love is that when they ask for mercy, that is a place of surrender. I need you to hear this because some of us are blind and we don't even have sense enough to surrender to blindness. We're blind, meaning we cannot see what's really happening, but we're determined to be right about what it is and how it ain't going to work. Rather than seeing ourselves at the finish line, even as we are trudging through whatever it is. See, we're not even singing about it if it ain't nothing. If all you have to do is just trot to the thing, it's the idea of seeing myself at the finish line is because I'm going through something. So these brothers here in this scripture are going through something and they humble themselves. And they say, have pity on us. Yeshua, have pity on us. And he says to them, do you believe that I'm able to do this? Why? Why pose the question if it's not relevant? If I'm just out doing stuff for people, but we recognize that you have to believe. So do you believe? Because if you're not believing, I'm going to need you to move. The miracle, us expecting a miracle, has everything to do with the quality and intentionality and consistency of our believing plus trusting means we have faith in that. So that's his question. He's like, yeah, I see you out there, blind men following me. But are you able to believe? Are you believing, rather, that I'm able to do this? And they answer yes. And then he touches their eyes. Now, there are those places where the theologians say that very often folks in healing had to do it a certain way in front of people. Because if they didn't, people couldn't believe. You see, it has everything to do with belief. So if he hadn't touched their eyes, would there have been the belief that anything was happening at the level of the eyes? That's where I want you. I want you considering this. You don't have to believe me. I'm inviting you to consider. So he touched their eyes and he said, what? Just as you believe. That's how it's going to be done to you. Now, if you didn't believe, ain't nothing changed. But if you believe, then there will be a change. And at once their eyes were opened. And you see, I love this, that what happens as an outcome is that their eyes were opened. So that implies they were walking around with their eyes closed. Understand, I'm talking to y'all this morning. We're not talking about the blind men in Capernaum. We none of that. We're talking about y'all right here, wherever you are viewing now. Are you willing to have your eyes opened? Are you willing to believe that there's something more than you can see in the moment? I have to tell you that this awakening to spiritual truth shows up in so many little ways that it doesn't even look like it's related to spiritual truth. I am mesmerized right now, and my heart is just cracked open by this young sister, Just Sam, who is the new face for American Idol. If you have Just Sam, I have to tell you, there's a moment, I don't have the time to tell you the whole story, although that would be a good talk to just go through the whole thing. But let me just tell you that there's a moment in the competition where she's to do a duet in the competition, and her duet partner can't find her. And ultimately, she's in the ladies' restroom, and she's just come undone with nerves and jitter and her throat now, because they've been singing in this competition. They're just singing all the time. So her throat is raw. She's saying, I don't think I can do it. I'm tired. I haven't had any sleep. It's all of the stuff in your life. Don't worry about Sam. What is it in your life that's going to keep you from taking the next step? You're concerned, you're afraid, you have fear, you're anxious about this. How you going to get to this part of it? How all of the stuff that comes up for us. So she's in that moment. So she does the duet, but after that, now if her throat was already in trouble, now it's really gone. And she must now do because through the duet, she goes to the next level of the competition. So now she's to do a solo, and she's like, there's just no way she can do it. But somehow, I'm going to put words in her mouth. She can see the finish line from where she is. Even though she cannot figure out how she can get there, how she can possibly be able to deliver this song. And the song she sings is from A Color Purple, I'm Here. And she wears it out. Now, listening to her, as you follow, if we don't understand what's really happening, if we don't see the blind men following Yeshua and surrendering their stuff, then we might believe that there's no way she's going to execute this song. It's not possible. How can she possibly bring everything that's required to deliver this magnificent work that she does? I don't even know if she knows how. But I'm telling you, when we decode it, we're stringing our beads and we're baking our baklava. And the reason we do it that way is so that we can discern what's happening in a given moment. That we can begin to see that she was like the blind man. There was a moment where she was saying, I can't do it. And then she did it. And it's out of the willingness to surrender and be willing to know that something else is happening, that something else is right there. Ernest Holmes says that the barriers between you and your greater good are not barriers in themselves. Ask just Sam. The barriers between you and your greater good are not barriers in themselves. They are things of thought. This is why we say early on, change your thinking, you'll change your life. Because if you're thinking, I can't do it, and you think, that's okay to have that as a thought. It depends on what you do next. See, now if you say I'm blind, but you go follow the one who can help with that, then you are open and available. He says it's because of this. Ernest Holmes is saying, it's because it is things of thought. That's why all things are possible in faith. It's like we got a decoder ring just now. That we get to understand in this moment that everything is possible in faith because it's all of this are things of thought. It's highly dependent upon what you're thinking about it. What do you believe it to be? If you believe you cannot do it and you don't give up on that, if you just hold that, come on, Mother Harriet, help me out. Because there's a day when one believes that they are enslaved and they must stay right where they are. And then there's a moment of amazing grace where I was once blind, but now I see, and I see the way out. If you saw the film Harriet, I'm not concerned with accuracy in this moment about the film and history. What I'm wanting you to know is that there's another level of seeing. There's an intuition. I was blind because I was not tapping into my ability to see beyond what is even seeable, what's even visible. And so Ernest Holmes is saying and we've been here before, Heart and Soul, but it's important because we got some other folks with us today that we lay this out, that this notion that it is done unto you as you believe. Ernest Holmes gives us a decoder ring when he says that we want to interpret this in a way that we pause after the word as, such that we're saying it is done unto me as I believe. While I am in the process of believing, come on, Just Sam, show us how this thing is done. While I am believing that even though I don't know how my throat and my vocal cords could possibly execute this, I am still going to stand there and hold the mic and do whatever is required of me and let the rest of it happen as I believe. That's how it comes through. Come on, Ernest Holmes. Life is always reflecting the light, the power of what we believe. That's all I got, y'all. Well, there's more, but I'm stopping me right now. Oh, Father, Mother God. This notion of being willing to live from. Wait a minute. There's this thing that, I thought I had it. To fulfill divine purpose, you got to answer when you're called. So you have to stay at least sufficiently awake so that you can hear. That even in your blindness, you have sense enough to know that there's something in your midst. You better try to follow that. I better surrender enough to allow something more to happen. This is where, in this pandemic, I'm inviting you to let go. You don't have to be right about this. You don't have to be right about how awful it is. You don't have to be right about anything. As we dig in our heels with the ain't it awful, and ain't it getting worse, and how difficult it is for everybody, maybe we could just change our tune and start singing from the finish line. What would my song be if I saw myself on the other side of this? If I was somehow, even in my blindness, able to discern the blessing in this. Ask the elders if there hadn't always been a blessing in absolutely everything. I know when I was young, they couldn't tell me nothing about that. I just thought they couldn't understand. Y'all missing the problem. Because you couldn't possibly think that somehow on the other side of it, I'd see it differently. Because to the young mind, meaning the untrained mind, it's not about age. It's about awareness. To the young, unaware mind, it looks like it's always going to be like this. To the aware mind, the one that's been through something, that in a Sankofa kind of moment, can look back and say, I know exactly that another possibility is present for me in this moment. It's how any of us has a testimony, how any of us has any modicum of awareness of the good. So look at here. I'm going to pass the mic, as it were, to Reverend Angelo Allen, because I'm going to ask you to give. I'm going to ask you to open your heart and give according to your ability and your willingness to support this ministry. And my prayer is that you see supporting Heart and Soul as supporting you. Because that's why we're here. That's our mission, is to support you. So if in fact you are feeling supported in any way whatsoever, I'm going to ask you to support us in kind. Revelo?
Thank you so much, Reverend Andriette. It is done unto us as we believe. And I believe Marianne Williamson is absolutely right. We're here because we have a mission. And our mission is to see Heart and Soul Center of Light thrive and serve humanity as a world-class teaching and empowerment ministry. So right now, we have the opportunity to contribute to this mission through gracious giving, and we invite you to support us. We have several different ways in which you can give. You can mail your check to Heart and Soul Center of Light, 1001 42nd Street, Suite 100, Oakland, California. You can also give online to heartsoulcenter.org/give. And you can also text to give at 510-558-49, my favorite way to give. Whatever way you choose to give is absolutely right and perfect. The important thing is to exercise that giving muscle because we live in a reciprocal universe, and as we give, so shall we receive. At Heart and Soul, we have a tradition of blessing our gift before it is even given, thereby establishing the good that our gift will do in the world. So wherever you are in the world, I invite you to take your gift in hand, or perhaps just place your hand over your heart, and let us say our blessing together. I bless this gift as healing energy and send it into the divine flow of all good. Infinite prosperity circulates through me, through my church, and throughout the world, because I know God as source, and so it is.
Visions that can change the world, trapped inside an ordinary girl. She looks just like me, too afraid to dream out loud. And though it sets for your idea, it won't make sense to everybody. You need courage now if you're gonna persevere. To feel you'd find purpose, you've gotta answer when you're called. So don't be afraid to face the world against all odds. Keep the dream alive, don't let it die. It's something deep inside, keep inspiring you to try. Don't stop and never give up. Don't ever give up on you. Don't give up. Every victory comes a time. Work today to change tomorrow. It gets easier. Who's to say that you can't fly? Every step you take, you get closer to your destination. You can feel it now, don't you? Oh, you're almost there. You're almost there. Fulfill your life's purpose. You gotta answer when you're called. So don't be afraid to face the world against all odds. Keep the dream alive, don't let it die. It's something deep inside, it's inside of you to try. give up, don't ever give up on you. Who holds the pieces to complete the puzzle? The answers that can solve the mystery. The key that locks the door to understanding. It's all inside of you. You have everything you need. Don't let it die. It's inside. You have the courage to try. Don't stop and never give up. Don't ever give up on you. No, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Thank you, Miko. Thank you, Tammy Hall. Thank you so very much. And big thanks again to all of you who are in the greater Bay Area and tuning in. Just thank you. It warms our heart and it supports us in being in service the way we intend. I want to give a special shout out to those of you who are calling in from other time zones, though, from Bowie, Maryland, and Tucson, Arizona, and Atlanta, Georgia, and Denver, Colorado, and Boston, Massachusetts, and Costa Rica, Jackson, Mississippi, Costa Rica, and Brazil. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that y'all are hanging out with us in whatever way. And let me just say, I acknowledge that some of y'all may still be in bed, and I ain't mad about that at all. Or we're a part of your brunch tradition or breakfast or lunch for some of y'all by now. But whatever it is that's happening, I am grateful that you are willing to share it with us, that somehow we are a part of your morning or afternoon. So thank you for being with us. And I ask you to spread the word, and so that next Sunday there'll be more of us here. We're doing a good thing, and it would be good for more folks to know. So look, our adventure in faith, we are expecting a miracle. You can find us online. There are a variety of places. Look, there's something else that's come to my attention because, there's some folks. I know for many of us in our world, in our universe, we think we don't know anybody who's not online. But if you think more carefully, as I have done, there's some folks who not logged into any of this. If you are online, then please integrate with us. Visit us, communicate with us. But if you know someone who is not online, give them the call-in number. Please give them the call-in number because they can still be a part of this good thing that we're up to. So think it through. For sure there's somebody, may not come right to mind, but just keep that in mind during this week, that there might well be an elder or somebody who just doesn't have the Wi-Fi hookup right now for whatever reason that could dial in. So we're just being gracious in that way. I want to remind you that the Monday evening call is happening tomorrow at 6:30. It's the book review, if you will, of A Year of Miracles, and it's with our practitioners, and so be a part of that. That's on Monday. On Wednesday evening, Imagining Justice. It's the end of their season. We kind of have an academic year season, and so Imagining Justice is in place from September through May. Through the end of May. And so this completes it. And so for their grand finale, they are having a virtual open mic night and gratitude celebration. So tune in, be a part of that. The link is right there. You're able to just write that down or go to our website, better yet, and just click on it. So at the end of May, we complete with Imagining Justice. And then it's because we have a summer school program. And so we are going to begin auditions, etc. And that Wednesday gets cleared so that we can focus on our virtual summer school for 2020. And summer school begins on July 8th. And then it's for 7 Wednesdays, which takes us through August 19th. You don't want to miss this. The folks who are here locally have been looking and waiting for this to happen. And those of you out of the area, it's a new thing for us to have a virtual, but this allows you to get in on it. So I'm looking forward to us sharing this with you. And in our sharing and generous spirit, we want to acknowledge Marcus Books. They are celebrating their 60th anniversary, and they have a fundraiser that is on GoFundMe. We give something. Give something. Know that if you're giving to Heart and Soul is also supporting it. We want to also support Kingston 11. These are our partners. They have been in support of Heart and Soul since the beginning, and we are in support of them as well. Tammy Hall, our local treasure. Tammy Hall is a Heart and Soul member and an amazing musician. I'm trying to throw in the membership thing to get in to ride the wave of her brilliance. But you know, her being a Heart and Soul member has nothing to do with her magnificence on whipping that piano in line. So you don't want to miss Thursday night regardless, but I was just trying to get Heart and Soul in on it. But be there Thursday evenings, every Thursday evening from 6 to 8 via Facebook Live. She is wearing it out. It's a beautiful time. You want to be in on it. Speaking of membership, just like Tammy Hall's a member, you could be one too. And it's because you like that little segue right there? The reason that could work for the first time ever for people in other places is that we're doing a virtual membership experience, our Path to Membership experience. Now, I admit if you're in an Eastern time zone, you're going to have to stay up late, so get a nap on Friday, June 19th. Because we begin at 6:30 to 9:30 Pacific time. And then on Saturday morning from 9:30 to 12:30, just afternoon. And both sessions are required. There are 2 parts to this. And you must be a part of both in order to become a member of Heart and Soul Center of Light. Also, we have a program for our youngins. And so for the teens, they are already in session. If you want, they start at 11:30. My bad. They begin at 11:30. If you have a teen and want your teen to participate, you need to send an email to thepulse@heartsoulcenter.org so that you can get the log-on information and make certain that it's appropriate for your teen. Also, for the littles, you ages 4 to 12, they meet on Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. And so again, I beg your pardon? Pacific time. Thank you very much. 4 p.m. Pacific time. This is important in this COVID time and having everyone here from all the possible places. So you'll send an email to YF like Frank, V like Victor for Youth and Family Village at heartsoulcenter.org. And after this service, immediately following this service, there is group prayer. And so there's a dial-in number there for you to be a part of that. And it's all about prayer. It's all about centering ourselves for something greater. Centering ourselves and opening our hearts, silencing our minds long enough to allow the divine to illuminate the perfect truth. And so in order to do that, I just recognize that there is one life. And that life is God, that life is good, that it's the living one, the strong one, that right where I am, the whole perfect and complete nature of the divine, God, the living one, the strong one is, and that this is the truth for all of us. that each and every one of us is living the life of God, even as the life of God is living us, that we are all breathing the breath of God, even as the breath of God is breathing us, that right where we are right now, each of us has the wherewithal to declare the goodness that is our heart's desire. So right now, I speak on behalf, I stand in the gap right now, declaring health and well-being, declaring prosperity, which is an abundance of all things good. So I'm encouraging each and every one of us to let go of any thought to the contrary, to begin to consider from this moment on that it's all working, that everything is working together for good, that there is a divine order in which each and every one of us is. Oh, I just give thanks. I give thanks for the divine unfolding. I give thanks for the shift in awareness that opens us up to something else, that opens us up to a healing, to a light, to, as Dr. Howard Thurman says, that we're more loving in our hearts. That opens us up to be compassionate, to be caring and considerate, to be loving and compassionate, to have empathy for each other. Oh, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for knowing that it is this word that helps someone to drop a tribal affiliation, a sense of them and us, and allow us to see ourselves more clearly as each other and in each other. To know that truly there's only one of us here. And that for any one of us in pain, that pain is felt in all of us. And so we use this word to clarify, to illuminate the perfect truth of our being, to transmute the past in this divine moment of recognition that shifts the future in ways that none of us can even know. We just know that it's founded in love and that it has a divine vibration that is healing by its very nature. And so I declare perfect healing, perfect revelation. Oh, I just give thanks. So it is an absolute perfect gratitude that I simply loose this word, that I propel it into the perfect activity of law, that I accept it as so, that I let it be, knowing that it's done and done well in God. And I seal this for all eternity by simply saying, Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. And so it is. Amen. And now, Miko Marks and Tammy Hall are going to take us out with Rise Up. These first part of the lyrics, as they are just preparing to serve you in this way, begins by reminding us that many of us feel broken down and tired, feel like we're living life on a merry-go-round. But there's something that is within each and every one of us that empowers us to simply rise up. I'm going to leave it to them to tell you, though.
Broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find that fire, and I see it in you, but we gon' walk it out and move mountains. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise when the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll bring the world to its feet and move mountains, bring it to its feet and move mountains.